The medical bay of the Galactic Research Station hummed with the quiet efficiency of advanced alien technology, but Dr. Sarah Chen paid no attention to the holographic displays or the soft chiming of monitoring systems. Her focus remained entirely on the massive form lying before her, a dragon-like creature whose scales shimmered between deep emerald and midnight blue, each one the size of her palm. For 3 months, the being had remained in this comatose state, ever since the mining accident on Kepler 442b had collapsed half a mountain on top of him. The other researchers called him Subject Omega 7, but Sarah had quietly begun thinking of him as verdant, after the way his scales caught the light. "Good morning, handsome," she whispered, checking the readouts on his biomonitors. Heart rate steady, brain activity minimal but present. Cellular regeneration proceeding at the glacial pace typical of his species. The Draconian Collective had entrusted this facility with their emperor's care, though they hadn't bothered to mention his royal status initially. That revelation had come later, along with increasingly anxious delegations checking on his progress. Sarah pulled up a chair beside the creature's head, which was easily the size of a hover car. His closed eyes were positioned beneath pronounced brow ridges, and even unconscious, there was something regal about the way his features were arranged. She'd spent enough time studying his anatomy to appreciate the elegant efficiency of his design, the way his wing membranes folded perfectly against his torso, how his talons retracted to protect their razor edges. "The preliminary scans show your neural pathways are starting to reconnect," she told him, settling into what had become her daily routine. "Dr. Kess thinks you might be able to hear us even if you can't respond yet. I hope that's true because I have something to share with you today." From her pocket, she retrieved a small data tablet containing a collection of human lullabies and folk songs, music from Earth that she'd carried with her through 15 years of deep space research. It was a tradition she'd started with all, her long-term patients, regardless of species. The Andromedans had seemed to respond well to classical composers, while the crystalline Vorthon found human blues particularly soothing. "This one always helped me sleep when I was small," Sarah said softly, activating the audio file. Her own voice began to play back, recorded during a quiet evening in her quarters, a gentle rendition of an old earthling song about stars and dreams and finding one's way home. As the melody filled the medical bay, she began to hum along, her voice harmonizing with the recording. It was something she'd done countless times before, but today felt different. Today, she noticed the faintest flutter of movement beneath Verdant's closed eyelids. What Sarah didn't know was that they had an observer. High above in the station's observation deck, a figure stood motionless in the shadows, watching through. The reinforced transparastile. Emperor Zirthak of the Draconian Collective was a formidable being even by his species' standards, nearly 12 feet tall in his humanoid form, with scales that gleamed like polished obsidian and eyes that burned, with ancient intelligence. But as he watched the human woman sing to his unconscious body below, those fierce eyes grew soft with recognition and something deeper, a warmth that few beings in the galaxy had ever witnessed. 23 years ago, when he had been merely Prince Zirthak on a diplomatic mission to the outer colonies, his ship had been attacked by raiders. The assault had left him critically injured and stranded on a backwater human settlement, where a young xenobiologist named Sarah Chen had found him collapsed near the research outpost where she worked. For months, she had nursed him back to health, never knowing his true identity. He had told her his name was simply Zir, a scholar from one of the outer systems. She had sung to him then, too, the same human lullabies that now echoed through the medical bay. When he had finally recovered and arranged for his people to retrieve him, he had made a promise to himself. Someday, he would repay her kindness. He had kept track of her career from afar, ensuring she received research grants and opportunities that led her to become one of the galaxy's foremost experts in xenobiology. When the mining accident had left his body broken, there had been only one person he trusted with his care. The irony was exquisite and painful. She was caring for him again, singing the same songs, offering the same gentle compassion. And she had no idea that the massive dragon before her was the young being she had once called her Little Zir. In the medical bay below, Sarah's song came to an end, and she leaned closer to check Verdant's vital signs. The monitor showed a slight increase in neural activity, enough to make her smile with professional satisfaction. "I think you like music," she murmured, reaching out to gently stroke the scaled ridge above his eye. "That's good to know. Tomorrow I'll bring you something from the Terran classical collection. Mozart, maybe. Or some of those ancient Chinese melodies my grandmother taught me." Emperor Zirthak felt his breath catch. Even now, even after all these years, her touch carried the same healing warmth he remembered. Part of him wanted to reveal himself, to transform back to his smaller humanoid form and tell her everything. But he knew that the moment he did, their relationship would change forever. She would no longer see him as simply a patient in need of care, but as the ruler of one of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations. For now, he was content to watch and listen, to experience once more the simple miracle of Sarah Chen's compassion. She had saved his life twice now, and both times she had asked for nothing in return except the satisfaction of seeing her patient recover. As she prepared to leave for the evening, Sarah paused at the door of the medical bay. "Sweet dreams, Verdant," she whispered. "I'll see you tomorrow." The Emperor of the Draconian Collective remained in the shadows long after she had gone, contemplating the strange paths that had brought them together again. In a galaxy full of conquest and politics, of trade wars and territorial disputes, there existed beings like Sarah Chen, caretakers who saw past species and status to the fundamental need for healing and connection. Perhaps, he thought, that was humanity's greatest strength. Not their technology or their courage, but their capacity to care for others without expectation of reward. It was a lesson he had learned 23 years ago from a young scientist who had sung lullabies to a stranger, and it was a lesson he was learning again now. Tomorrow he would return to his duties as emperor, but tonight he would dream of earth songs and gentle hands, and the woman who had taught him that the greatest power in the universe was sometimes the simplest act of kindness.